Are you going to wear that hat and headphone combination the whole time?
No, I just want to make sure
that
there's no weird buzzing sounds.
Okay, that's good then, because you kind of look like you should be wearing a pair of roller skates while you got the headphones on.
I definitely am not a roller skate kind of guy.
You tried this roller skate?
Can you bring your microphone up to your mouth a little bit more, please?
I don't want it to obscure my beautiful face.
Well, the viewers do.
Yeah, but the whole point of using these is people aren't watching this, they're just listening.
Then why have I spent an hour setting up cameras?
I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't know all the answers.
Yes, you do.
I probably have more questions than answers today.
You're like the dad in here. We go to you. You're the daddy. We go to you for answers.
I like that.
Yeah.
You just called me the daddy.
I know.
Thank you.
On account
I
of
like
you,
that.
You and my mummy.
I wasn't listening, then I was looking at myself on the TV.
This is weird. Rob's my sort of stepdaddy. I'm his stepdaddy. We're both your stepdaddy. Yeah.
My two dads. Yeah. My two stepdads.
Yeah.
Stepdad, why are you stuck in the washing machine kind of thing?
Yeah. Why are you stuck under that bed? Kind of thing.
Rob's trying to look innocent. That's because we know the only thing he watches when he's in bed is you on the TV.
Yeah, true. After you shower.
So yesterday when I was looking...
Have you seen my cup of tea anywhere?
It's over there on your desk. Next to your hot sauce. Don't fall over those cables.
So...
Fucking hell, them nipples are on form today.
Did I tell you about bustle punching?
Yeah. Rob, what is a bustle punch? I told him yesterday it's the wrong colour for cologne.
So the guy who makes this hot sauce...
Yeah.
I'd just like to say we're not sponsored by the Rib Man.
No. If he wants to send us some more stuff. His
he's going to like this then, because I'm going to talk about his sauce. Look at the name of this sauce.
Christ on a bike.
That's just it's for the win, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the other one that he does that I like is called Holy Fuck.
I can't even put it anywhere. It's not going to be shut.
But yeah,
did you buy that?
Did I buy it? Yeah.
Okay. I need to get comfy again. It's not a sponsored video or anything.
We're not that lucky. If anyone does want to sponsor us,
I'm
going to have to put my headphones on if you're messing about with your microphone.
It's not a sponsored video, but I am going to enjoy a bit of the Rib Man later on. Just like to say, I didn't buy the sauce. Someone gave me the sauce. Yeah,
I gave you the sauce, which I'm about to tell you a fact about it.
All right.
One of his pictures.
You bought it though.
I bought the sauce. One of the places he does is rib meat sandwiches, which I've never had, unfortunately, but it's right by one of the latest Banksies. So, like, from his stall, you can see the Banksy just on the, the monkey one that's swinging from, like, the train line.
Not the one that was stolen, then.
Not the one that was stolen.
Maybe Ribman is Banksy.
Maybe Ribman is Banksy.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, we're back for another podcast.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Another Friday morning.
Another Friday morning.
Another Friday morning.
We used to like doing evenings, but somebody has a date with Jim on a Thursday night and cries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because, weirdly, we get loads of positive comments for Paul, we need him here to carry the podcast for us.
Yeah, so if you want to give me any non-positive comments, off.
I think that's probably aimed at both of us.
yeah, I'm getting a bit shit now. With
How long have you been going to the gym now?
What?
How long have you been going to the gym?
About a year now. I used to go with you pre-COVID, didn't I?
We're still waiting for some results to be visible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has he not showed you his belt loops?
Oh, yeah.
How many holes?
We should have videoed him.
In a court of law, that is known as circumstantial.
Circumcision?
Yeah, because...
He could just have bought a bigger belt.
No.
Oh, I've just realised.
Probably made some extra holes. Might have got a fat person's belt from charity shop.
He's got your belt.
I knew you were going to go there when I was starting on that.
To go with his clown shoes that he has to pad out. Anyway.
Well,
we love you, Rob.
Anyway, right. So, yeah, we're back. And we've had a pretty crazy, intense. My Friday and Saturday was definitely crazy and intense, which I was not expecting at all. With the launch of the new signature edition polypropylene /green
PPE.
No, stop calling it PPE. So in the video we did last week to launch it, he kept saying PPE. I kept having to stop.
It rolls
him.
off the tongue.
Yeah.
But when I was looking for, because we talked about, so one of the comments, a couple of the comments were about how.
Let's get into the HDPE debate.
That's what I was about to say. So one of the comments to lead into this, somebody
jump in, take your pants off, and jump in.
Somebody thought that this was the first polypropylene helmet, and we'd done the other ones incorrectly because in the past it's been referred to as HDPE. Although
is my helmet
is my 10-year anniversary helmet not accurate now because of
No, it's not.
No.
Yes, I saw the comment. No, it's not.
It is accurate.
Yes, it was a comment. No, it's not correct.
So somebody thought that
because it is correct.
Someone thought we'd mark it.
It's getting complicated already.
HSBC.
They thought it had been sold as HSBC, but it was actually PPE. There's too many acronyms going on.
Yeah. So anyway, I went back to find the videos on when we did the 10th anniversary helmet, and even then, there's a bit where he's talking and he talks about it being PPE, and I didn't correct him. I've only in the edit because I threw something up on screen saying polypropylene because I obviously didn't realise in the edit. But the other day, all he did.
I never thought we made a song and dance about it. To be fair, I didn't know.
Well,
and people's reaction, obviously, they've not really picked up on it, but it's never been a secret. The reason there's a simple reason for the HDPE thing, because it was identified or misidentified as HDPE many moons ago, before we were making helmets. It's been a thing probably, I don't know, 20 years or something. There are certain people that can shout pretty loud, and they announced to the world it was HDPE, and that's what it was. Everybody just assumed that it was HDPE. Nobody's really ever needed to look into it unless they wanted to make them. So it just stood as HDPE. Now, we didn't think it was worth making a big fuss about because who really cares? I mean, it's a very similar product. I don't know what the chemical breakdown is. Maybe you could drop some on the screen now, Clarky, just to tell us what that is.
Nope.
But yeah, it's a very similar plastic. It's the sort of stuff that I think HDPE is less common actually, but I don't know where the idea came from. Somebody cemented that in the community, and that then becomes a descriptive word for what you're trying to describe. In a very similar way that I was looking at Facebook the other day, and Trooper Cooler, is it Mark at Trooper Cooler, who does all the helmet fans and stuff. Yeah. Well, he does blasts as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, yeah.
And I can't remember if that's under his Trooper Cooler banner or if he's got a blaster name for it.
It was.
Anyway, it's the same guy, Mark. Yeah. And I noticed he was doing a kit for an ESB blaster.
Okay.
Which he was calling the Pugman. So this is a very similar kind of thing with HDPE, because the Pugman was the board name of a guy from Ireland called John, and that was his RPF forum name, Pugman. And we still use the title today because when we were starting out and when we got the moulds from John, it was known as the Pugman in the replica prop community.
Yeah, he did a limited one, didn't he?
Yeah, so we just called it that in the little, the little.
Yeah, but sorry, is that would be the correct name to give that, because Pugman on the forums identified the gun, didn't he, and did the run of it, so people knew what type of gun it was. The problem with naming it HDPE is it's not correct. So it might be, it's become a slang term for it as opposed to a factual term.
No, but the point is, he was labelling this gun as Pugman. Yeah. It's not related to the Pugman blaster at all. It's like an idealised version of the style of blaster, which was like the cast ESB blaster. Yeah. So it's not related to the Pugman in any way.
Right.
In the same way that HDP and polypropylene are not related.
So one of the things...
Although they are related.
One of the things I've thought about with relation to... Because I was racking my brains as to why the video got confusing when we explained it, because you and I obviously spent a couple of hours shooting that video and we did go over some bits several times. I know I can get Rob to over-explain things sometimes when he wants to be simple about it, and sometimes he's too simple when we need to explain a bit more. That seemed to get a bit muddy.
I like to be simple.
Human nature.
I even spoke to Jeremy and Dan about it to see if he could point out where it maybe guided Rob wrong in all the detail or too much detail or whatever. But the one thing I think maybe is where it trips it up is when you talk about the story of identifying polypropylene, I don't think you actually really talk about when that was identified. So that may come across as saying, when we were ordering the polypropylene for this helmet run.
Right, okay.
See what I mean? Whereas the reality is that was, 15 years ago, nearly?
Yeah.
So it was 15 years ago when you spoke to that company and you've been buying polypropylene as and when you can from this company.
No, not from the same company.
Oh, yeah, but so you've been buying it since you identified it with this company.
Yes.
From the bloke who sits in the back who sold it to the original production in 76.
Yeah, the first batch that we found was in some that was like 15 years ago. And that was in, I think the T went down the wrong goal then. Could be worse, couldn't it? That was in the first batch of PP, which was the first green helmets that we ever did. It wasn't even from that supplier. We hunted around high and low, and it was from some like weird architectural plastic supplier or something like that. It was weird. I can't remember what it was. It was like this little place, and they just had some, which was probably been around for years. Yeah, that's what we used for the first run. So it's always been polypropylene. We've always known it. I didn't realise. People didn't know, but we didn't really make a song and dance about it because who cares? Well,
so I think the only point of confusion may have been that it was implied in that video, or could have been interpreted that was from the order that was just got. And the reality is that this PP that you've got now is quite a few years.
But the weird thing is, I was as I've been building some of these helmets, been thinking about it, and I'm thinking, whose idea was it to make the Stormtrooper a vac-formed costume? Yeah. So when the decision has been made before they've made the molds, because they've made the molds to suit the process. Yeah. So I was thinking, who said, okay, yeah, we can make this out of vac form? Was it John Mollo?
Mm-hmm.
Has he any experience with making costumes in vac form plastic? So I was speaking to Jez Star Wars Helmets, my go-to expert.
I can say Jez would be the man to know.
Yeah, he was a person I thought might best have an opinion on it, and he couldn't really. Well, he didn't know for sure. Don't know where it came from. Threw some names about that might have been involved. Nick Pemberton. But yeah, it's interesting. That's an interesting thing that never really thought about before. But I mean, clearly George Lucas didn't think, oh, we can make this out of it's not going to be the case, is it? Because he's just going to be like, this is what I want.
He's been working on that impression.
Bang. Go and do it. It wasn't really an impression. I just said crook throat. So anyway, the reason I mentioned this, I digress, is as I was texting, and we were texting back and two in a little message tennis.
Wonder what that's like to get a back and two conversation with Rob via text. He never replies. Really.
Unless you've got something he wants.
No, unless you've got something interesting to say. Anyway, I have started sending replies now that just say like, yeah, okay, confirmed. Just so people have got a reply. Anyway, as we were texting back and two, he said, "Oh, interesting about the PPE. Interesting about the PP thing and it not being HDPE. I may go back on my site and update that."
So he's got HDPE.
But everybody thought it was HDPE. That's the thing.
When was this conversation?
I didn't think it was a secret.
When was this conversation with Jez?
What day are we on now? Friday?
It was this week.
You wasn't on a boat, was you?
I think it was Tuesday.
Okay, so...
Because I went to the cinema to watch Borderlands.
So, like you're saying you didn't think it was a secret. I thought we talked about this numerous times. But and the reason I'm saying this now is when I was in the paint room the other day with Si and Becca talking about this helmet, Becca said, "It's not HDPE." She was like, "Why do we call it HDPE?" And I was like, we call it polypropylene. She was like, "I've never heard anyone say polypropylene." So
we don't.
We obviously haven't talked about it anywhere near enough.
It's, when... I think it's a little bit like, I don't know if this is an English thing.
Microphone close to your face.
It's in
the way you cup of tea.
I don't like things in this vicinity of my mouth.
You do.
Unless...
I've seen you with a banana.
Unless it's a cup. Well, unless it's food
or
drink.
A cup.
Oh yeah, I'm going to dub that.
So, you remember... This is why I think it's like a British-ism. When I was a kid, there'd be people who'd be giving directions. When you used to stop for directions before sat-navs were invented, and when you were too lazy to look at a map, and they'd say, "Oh, it's up past such and such a pub," and then you'd get there and the pub's a different name, and it's because they call it by the old name because that's what they used to. Well, I just think it's the same thing. Everybody refers to it as that. It's like its pet name. Nobody really cares.
People do care though.
But unless you're buying it, it doesn't matter. It could be called flummox. It doesn't matter.
But that's why it's important now to set it straight, because we don't want anyone to think that the original helmets you made nearly 15 years ago, the 10th anniversary helmet, the Chris Bunn signature edition Sand Trooper helmet, and now the Laurie Goode helmet were made of anything other than the correct material.
No,
they're the four signature. Sorry, they're the four they're the four green helmets that RS has made, which have always been made of
polypropylene.
Thank you very much.
Also known as PPE. Also known as HDPE.
Let's not start that one now.
No, so it's always been the same. Every green plastic helmet we've made has been polypropylene. It's not even green.
What's it called? Something?
No, can't say it. It's a trade secret.
Okay. What's it called?
It's a trade secret.
Is it called?
Yeah.
So I don't need to cut that out?
Yeah.
Okay. Did Si not talk about it in last week's video?
Don't know.
You watched it 5 times with me?
No, don't think so.
Okay.
No, and that's one of the other reasons why we didn't go out of our way to clarify it, because unless you're trying to buy it, you don't need to know.
I think
particularly what it is. So
whether it ended up in the video, I don't know. But Simon, I think you might touch on it as well. Both talked about how it's very difficult to get hold of in the thickness you use, isn't it? Like if you want it in 3mm or 6mm or something, it's almost off the shelf.
I think the expression is readily available. But yeah, it's a stock item, but I don't know what you use it for. And this is the vac forming thing. If you're a vac former, you don't want to start making these helmets, because all the undercuts, it's a bitch. Nobody wants to do it. The only people who vac form stunt helmets in ABS are people who are just anally
ABS?
Yeah. Because it's a nightmare to do.
Hence using polypropylene.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't want to do it. He just wanted to make them quickly, because vac form is all about replicating something quickly. Get them off the tool, get it made. Whereas now we're just like total doing it, really.
Could that?
It's very easy to pull compared to ABS.
So that's why the armour's ABS, because there's no undercuts in the armour.
Yeah.
So that's easy to just literally bang on and off, pull off the mould.
Yeah.
Next one on.
For the most part, yeah. And for the bits that are tricky, there's a trade-off because it's still worth it, and you're never going to paint armour and then the paint stick to it and blah blah blah. But the whole point of it is, I think he decided he was going to do them in green and paint them. The studio didn't ask for that, but then there's probably some argument about, you asked for green, you asked for white helmets in this shape. There you go. But the fact that they then went back and got hero ones tells you that they obviously weren't overly happy with the green ones for the close-up shots, blah, 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 because the stuff just chips pretty easily. Not as easily now with modern paint technology, but it still does chip. People have been asking actually about the chip. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's just for the ease of making it. And then at the point where we've gone back to the hero helmets, the molds of then the stunt helmet mold, that's over now because it's been modified to be the hero. So the stunt helmet mold, that's gone at that point.
Interesting.
But I'm pretty sure, looking at the damage on the bottom, that the molds are plastic, and we've recreated all the errors that we see on there, the bump, the texture and stuff. That's not. Should we talk about that? Because people probably think, why on earth did they make why is all the text? Because I think a lot of people thought the texture was paint.
Yeah.
It's not paint. It's in the mould, and people probably think, why on earth did they make them with all the bumps and everything? Well, you don't. Those moulds, books, tools, whatever you want to call them, they would have been perfectly flat. Okay? They're absolutely flat to the touch. There's no bump on the forehead or all that, the marks that we see. But when you're forming, when on your hero helmet, nice and smooth. But on the polypropylene one, the way that stuff works is it's hot. When you're forming that stuff, it is really hot. You've got to get the tool up to a certain, I wouldn't say a certain temperature, but you've got to get some heat in the tool. And then when you're vac forming the plastic on there, the plastic is at one temperature, your tool is at another temperature, they both touch, and then the plastic starts to cool because it's no longer under the heat, and now it's against something which is colder than itself. And at that point, the book that they're using is made of two different materials. Maybe it's made of one material 95%, and there's another material that's involved in that, like maybe some kind of filler in any uneven parts across the helmet. So what I mean by that is, imagine a plaster book with a bit of body filler in there. What happens there is you've got two different temperatures. Yeah, so your book is running two temperatures because one material is a different temperature than the other, and that's when it all it cools faster, and that's how it happens. We recreated the problem when we first started doing polypropylene.
So would that mean, like, if you were pulling 10 helmets, the more that book was used, between 1 to 10, there would be distinct differences? One may start out pretty smooth.
No.
So whatever that issue would appear on the first pull because of the heat?
Yeah, because of the way the plastic cools when it's against the book. And the two different materials, they've got different properties, and they'll be at different temperatures, and the plastic cools. So when the plastic cools, that's when that bump appeared. And that's when all the little lines appear. So that's how they get there. They didn't vac form it over a really rough finish. It's not in the paint. That's what causes it. And that's what all the tiny little imperfections across it are. You know, the little bits round the front of the frown, and there's some other little bits here and there.
So if you were to do a complete new sculpt, smooth as anything,
Yeah.
would your brand new books develop problems like that? Or is that based on... Oh, my phone just started playing. It's really weird. Would your new book start producing those issues, or is that to do with the technology of how the books were made at the time?
No, to do with two different materials. If you make... If let's say it was plaster, I believe that they were plaster, judging by the damage we see on the bottom. On the bottom of the faceplate, you know, in the things, it makes sense that that's damage. If it was a nice, smooth, 100% plaster book, you wouldn't get it. But if it's not smooth, if there's some imperfections and you've gone back, even if you've gone back and filled it with more plaster, let's say, but when you've mixed the plaster, there's a different water content in there, so that's going to change the temperature. And that's what it is. That's where it's happening. When the hot plastic touches the cool or the cooler book, because the book is never going to be the same temperature as the plastic. Even if you got it really hot, it's never going to be the same. Nothing's going to be rated for that. And especially with the PP, because it gets stupidly hot. For example, we put it under the heat for, I'm going to just say, to make sense of it, like twice as long as ABS. That's how long it takes to get to the point where you can vac form it. So it's all to do with that, the temperature and the rate it cools down. And if it was uniformly, say you'd made it out of, say it was a different shape, it's just like a hemisphere of machined aluminium. Yeah? You could form that, you could get some consistency of temperature throughout the piece, then you're not going to get issues. But if you make it out of something else, and there's any filler in there or anything like that, that's when you're going to get the problems. And that's what we see there.
So 2 questions about that. All right, first question, is that unique to polypropylene? Would the same things have happened if they'd have vac formed the helmets on those whatever books you suspect in plaster out of ABS? Would you still get those imperfections?
No, not in ABS.
So it's the heat of the polypropylene. That's what you believe it's down to altogether.
It's the cooling process.
Sorry, but to do you have to heat it up twice as much as an example.
It's not necessarily the heat of it. It's the plastic itself when it's cooling down.
Okay. So my question with that is in relation to if
it's touching two different, like you've got two areas, they're slightly different temperatures. As your PP goes on there and it forms the shape, then if you've got like on the head, I mean we don't do it because ours is uniform, so we don't have any problems like that. What we're doing is we're capturing the original vac form problems. That's not to say we haven't had problems, because in the early days this is how we found out about it. We had a tool that had a bit of filler in it. This was like one of the first tools that we made, and we got some PP. We're like, yeah, come on, we're gonna make green helmets. It's gonna be amazing, because we were very excited for it. Still am. And we vac formed it, and we had filler in a different place, and we recreated the exact same problem. So we ended up with like a forehead bump somewhere else. And then you're like, okay.
So
I know what's going on here.
My last question about it, and usually I'm asking questions to help people watch and understand, but it's genuinely I'm interested by this. I know you wouldn't do it, but you've got those plastic cast Princess Leia books, the safety molds from the original helmet.
Yeah.
If you form that directly over that with PP, would you then it wouldn't necessarily look the same when it came off because there's a chance that that's been filled and sanded and
you might end up with a load of issues, and you might not even be able to you wouldn't be necessarily be able to feel it. But if it's been filled with the same material, the chances are you might not even be able to see it, but you may get them.
Yeah,
because there's a different consistency. It might even be the way it's mixed.
Yeah.
You know, so that could have been like a bit of an air bubble kind of thing. So yeah, it's all about the cooling. That's where all those details that we really love. And I suppose this is the importance of originally the polypropylene helmet, because those are all the details that we really want. All the stuff that was totally unintentional and that the production probably hated at the time. And nobody noticed when it was on screen anyway. But now, those are the details that matter.
Well, I suppose some of those details that matter now are more apparent because of 4K and remastering and stuff, like when they watched it in the cinema.
I don't even think my eyes can handle 4K. So I don't know if I really see any difference. Blu-ray's pretty good. Laurie Goode.
Laurie Goode.
Talk to me.
Talk to you. So we went and met him in a very shady travel lodge, was it?
Yeah.
Was that down in London?
It was.
This is a high class travel lodge.
It was. I don't get that. It was
awful, wasn't it?
It was quite a trek. It was proper dingy. He was going to a convention like half an hour away, and that was where
Birmingham, somewhere in Birmingham.
I thought it was further than that. But yeah, and there was more of the interview, but unfortunately, it's not usable because of my inability to wear headphones, which I'm not wearing now. He spoke so softly. He was such a chilled out guy, like so softly. And the microphones had been set for you two. So he was wearing a microphone that really wasn't picking him up much, and it took me way longer than it should have done to just get that little soundbite of what we did to make it work and make it work with Rob. But he was a great guy, had some good stories, didn't he?
It was interesting, differed from most of the people that we've met from Star Wars, in that he was definitely a music biz guy.
Okay.
Got an unreleased demo. He paid Phil Collins 20 quid to record in the 60s on tape, which he doesn't want to ever release. So he said, about 10 years after recording this demo, which like they paid Phil Collins something like 20 quid to record, may not have been that much. He was stood there and he was living in emergency accommodation. And this bus drove past with Phil Collins' face on the side, like with Phil Collins' debut album, because he was this massive star. Laurie Goode said he thought at that point, he said, I've definitely made some wrong decisions here.
Jeez.
Well, you say he was a nice guy. So he was super chilled out, just quite happy to chat a bit. But yeah, he was definitely different. Like the contrast of meeting the likes of like Jack Claff and Chris Bunn, where they've obviously gone on to kind of do acting or
thespian things,
or
yeah, he was definitely
Chris Bunn making a career out of being an extra in some legendary films. Laurie was definitely more of the
rock and roll guy,
rock and roll, and he wasn't really like. You
could tell in that interview that the clip that we showed when he's got his little glasses on and stuff.
He's got a great head of hair as well,
cool.
So he's definitely a rock and roll legend. You don't get many bald rock stars, do you?
Cool dude.
Rob Halford.
Yeah, Paul Astle.
Rock on.
So yeah, so he was a nice guy. He was very chilled out. We sat with him for maybe 30, 40 minutes, didn't we? And then he did the... we'd already done the signing, hadn't he? He did the signing with Simon.
Yeah.
That was when one day we'd gone somewhere to do an interview and a signing, and Simon had gone to the sign with him. We didn't know we'd actually sit down with him at any point. But he's got, and this was the bit I was gutted he didn't bring, he's got diaries of his time on set. Like this seems to be a thing, like back then people used to keep diaries, and he's got all the days he was on set.
It might be to do with making sure they got paid.
Yeah, probably. So he's got all these, and his story, because as we all know, there's many people who claim to have been the stormtrooper that banged the head. His version of events.
Yeah, let's get into that in a second.
Yeah, there's certain elements which can be backed up. But it would have been fascinating to see his diaries. Yeah, and that was one of the things he said at the end. He's like, "Oh, I've known you're going to ask me questions like this. I would have brought me diaries." It was like he wasn't even It wasn't even in his head. We were going to talk to him about Star Wars.
As he nearly came up here a couple of times, but for whatever reason he hasn't.
Not sure. We talked to him for a long time. I think he's in Elstree 76, isn't he?
I've not seen that
documentary.
Don't know.
I think he's in that, and I don't know if it is even before that we were talking to him about doing something. And then when I saw him in that, I thought, seems like quite a cool guy. That's would like to meet him.
That's a good little link as well, isn't it, to talk about how long it takes for some of these things to come to fruition of not just the signing, but then, there was nearly 2 years since us meeting Laurie, which means there's probably 2 years since Simon met him to get the signature. And these things have got the time to fit them into the schedule.
Yeah, because time is running out for us all.
What did you say once? Time is the enemy of the prop maker.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds pretty good, though. I'm going to claim it. I said that, yeah. So, I was going to say something interesting then, and it's totally gone out of my head. Oh, yeah, the Laurie Goode thing with the old bang in the head. Someone commented about the video that Jamie with the equally good head of hair. I don't know if it's actually going to be described as good, but he's got a lot of hair. So, yeah, somebody did comment, it's not Laurie. I don't know why they're doing that voice. Sounds a bit like with George Lucas, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not Laurie Goode who banged his head. Someone did comment saying, it's, I forget what the guy's name is. And I have seen the video. It's called Empire Strikes Door. And it's like a comedy investigation into who it was. And there's 3 main protagonists. One of them's Laurie, one of them's dead, and one of them's another guy who was on set for one day because he was a friend of Anthony Daniels, I believe. So I think that's who they went with. But I think it was a light-hearted investigation, and it's all conjecture. We couldn't really get any main evidence. Is what it is. But at the end of the day, Laurie was a stormtrooper on set. That is undeniable. Whether he banged his head, I think that's up to.
But Laurie's story as well, which is in the video from last week, where he says there was only one take because they made them.
And the other guy says there was 2 takes.
Yeah. So, and Laurie says it's in his diary, and he said if I could get through to George Lucas to check his information, George Lucas would say, "You're absolutely right. We only did 1 take, and that would be the absolute proof of it."
I mean, and to be fair, in that documentary comedy investigation, he does say it's 1 take, and the other guy says no, there was 2 takes, and Kurtz, I think, says there was 2 takes, but he's still sticking by the fact that there was 1 take. So,
well, he also says
that was with the guns in the.
Well, I was going to say, are they saying there were 2 takes? Are they saying there was 2 takes with the guns in the left hand, or are they saying there was 2 takes because they did a take with the guns were in the right hands, and that's when they said that we need to do it again because the guns need to be in the left hand?
I'm going to level with you. I don't really care.
Okay.
Whether he banged his head or not, he was a stormtrooper. I mean, it's a fun story, but who really cares? So to that guy who comment on screen now. Yes.
I don't know where that comment was.
I have seen it, the documentary. I do know that they decided, and I think that's the point, they decided. But I mean, check it out. I don't want to advertise it. It's called Empire Strikes Door. I'm not going to put a link underneath. I say that. Clarky may do, but he probably won't.
I'll say it will and I'll forget.
Don't bother. People can just search it up. Put it in Google. Comes up. But yeah, either way, Laurie was there. Seemed like an interesting guy when I seen him in Elstree 1976, which I would recommend. If anyone's not seen it, see if you can hunt it down. Maybe available on streaming services, even though I hate them, but I do own it on DVD.
Optical media for the win.
Yeah.
Your shoes are very creaky.
That's actually probably my foot due to a massive crush injury. Don't know if we've ever talked about that in a podcast.
9:04 today, Paul, before you managed to get it into conversation.
It is feeling a bit better, but I mean, there's some days it's bad.
There we go.
Bad. Luckily,
remember that video we did where he started talking about it and I just faded in the sad music and left him.
I was thinking that then.
well, luckily Paul's here, and the days it's bad, and I'm like in tears, breaking down. He comes over, and he gives me
bustle punches you.
He gives me the back rub. That's when he's doing the bustle punch as well. Yeah, and then he gets out all these tablets. He's got like loads of tablets, you know, like all the painkillers, and then he gets out his. He's like, when a footballer injures himself on the pitch, and the guy runs over and he's got like a cleaning lady things with all pills and DP and the sprays sponge. And all that. The magic sponge. Yeah. You told me the magic sponge was something else. Anyway, he comes over, he does all that, and he takes my shoe off, and he's like, "Oh, is that better?" It's a godsend.
Do you know? I know that's a lie. Because there's nothing worse than Paul coming over and putting his hands on your shoulders and giving you a massage. It is like something he's picked up from all the war documentaries he's watched over the years of some kind of Nazi torture to get the truth out of people.
Yeah, well, my granddad did teach me the Javanese
Don't think we can say the word Nazi.
Why?
Probably get demonetised or something.
I've been listening to podcasts lately about the Germans and drugs, and it's fascinating. So I said Germans, Nazis and drugs. Sorry, I don't want to cast aspersions that Germans do drugs.
Oh my God. It's getting worse.
it's all they said, isn't it?
Usually he's the one who reins us in. And look at him now. Running free.
I did not see that.
Oh, terrible. Rob didn't get it. No, he didn't get it, did he?
Didn't Chris Bunn say he was next to him when he...
Yeah, so Chris Bunn says he was the first stormtrooper through the door, and he said he heard it, which is why he turns.
Right.
And in the movie, when they dub it, Chris Bunn's character says, "Check on him," which some people say they thought means check on the stormtrooper behind his head, but then other people saying they're talking about the stormtroopers that are on the floor. But yeah, Chris Bunn said it. Chris Bunn told us that when we met him a couple of years ago, didn't he? He was talking about him.
Yeah. He actually came up, didn't he?
Because him and Laurie briefly knew each other from being extras on other stuff. Because one of the other things Laurie told us that was interesting was, Laurie was telling us that he didn't need, someone said to him one day, "What agency are you with?" And he was like, "What?" He didn't even have an agency. Whereas Chris Bunn, because Chris Bunn was an extra, Chris's job was to phone, not Chris's job, part of what he did to get jobs was he'd phone the agency like twice a day, didn't he? Which is how they ended up working on, like, when you're doing Star Wars in the day and a Western
in the
night.
Are we talking cross purposes there?
No.
Which agent are you talking about?
Do you mean which agent?
Does it mean an agent for doing the conventions?
What? No, the agent for...
Back in the 70s, 60s?
No, didn't you have to be? I think you had to be part of whatever it was called.
The Acting Guild.
The Acting Guild?
No. Central Casting.
Well, no, because didn't Laurie say he wasn't to begin with? He was.
Don't know. No, I'm not sure. But I thought everybody had to be, or everybody came from Central Casting to get on the gig,
including Anthony Daniels' mate who was on set for one day.
Yeah, I suppose that's it.
Don't know.
You turn up.
And was that? I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a lot more rules and regulations back then, wasn't it, for what people had to be part of?
You say that. I think we're living in a very rule and regulated era.
Yes.
Let's not go down that route.
Yeah, you can get arrested now, can't you? Don't say anything bad, you can get arrested.
I don't know. There was loads of stuff going on one day. I think we're a bit starry-eyed about it all as well, by the way.
What do you mean?
Just my opinion. Like the whole thing about the 70s and when they were making this film and how it was all rose-tinted and stuff. I mean, they were just people, weren't they? Like us now.
Better than us there in Star Wars. Good Star Wars.
Oh my God. Let's move on. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. No, I'm not talking about you, Paul.
No, I was thinking your club thought. I
was thinking Paul's mum's not here.
See, I could say nasty things, and I'm not going to. I'm going to gloss over that. I'm going to gloss over it, and I'm going to move on. Not make a joke at anyone's expense, because I'm not that guy. Yeah? You could learn from me.
Oh.
So, let's talk about it.
Now.
Okay, we've got two things to talk about here. Two.
That's 4.
I feel a bit like either a hippie or a Boy Scout.
Imagine all the people.
Was a Boy Scout that one? What was the Boy Scout one?
That one.
What the heck's that?
Is that Live Long and Prosper? This
Was
used
it?
to say,
Was
didn't
it? Was it there?
That was
Something.
wasn't that?
Oh no, it's free, wasn't it? They did that, didn't they? I'm sure they did.
Clearly, none of us were ever a Boy Scout.
3 fingers.
I can't even do it now. Is that?
It's the 3 fingers salute. Old Baden Powell decided it was a 3 finger one.
I used to be able to do it because obviously I was I can kind of do it with that one.
Yeah.
What's got?
Did
I
your
think I'm
hand
seizing up.
Did your hand sustain a massive crush injury?
I think I'm a replicant. I need to stick some glass in there. Anyway, we've got a couple of serious things that we need to talk about. When we've released the helmet, it's been the website's took a hit and it can't control the amount of traffic. So after that happened, we were like, okay, well, we need to do something. So we looked at the website and how we can make it cope more with it. And then we thought, oh, well, for the attack, for example, we thought we'll split it up so that less people need to go on to get a helmet. Didn't realise what would actually happen was all those people would try and get on the first one, and then anyone who didn't, all of those people would try and get on the second one. So I should have thought about that. I thought by splitting up in the time zones, people would just go in their time zone. But anyway.
I mean, I'd like to shoe on in there that I told him that would happen.
Didn't quite work. Clarky might have told me that had happened, but I didn't. If he did, I didn't hear it. Didn't consider it. But it was worth a try. Didn't work.
That's it. Sorry, that's the thing. We've tried to improve it every time.
Yeah. So this time we thought, right, okay, what we don't want is any repercussions like we've had before where the site just can't handle it. So we thought, this is a great idea. Why don't we just do it on like an interest list, which we're calling a wait list because we couldn't change it on the website quick enough, and we're still looking at how we do that. It is possible, but that's something that needs to be done moving forward if we're going to do it this way again. But we thought we'll do it on an interest list. System.
Let me just jump in for a second and give a bit of a backstory on this. So I suggested this a while ago, and again, blame me. And I got this from a friend of mine who is a big sneakerhead. And a lot of these like launches of trainers these days, trainers to the UK, they're done with these raffle systems to stop resellers and bots just buying things up quickly. Now, a couple of years ago after lockdown, entered one of them. I had to take a picture of a bacon sandwich to prove that you were unique and not a bot. So I went all out and did this full mega sandwich in the shack where I mate round, we recorded it. Won the raffle. And I was like, oh, I've won. But then you have to buy it. I didn't know this, but I thought I actually won a pair of trainers. But it's always been in the back of my mind that if they're doing that to avoid resellers, to avoid bots and to avoid congestion, it always made sense to me that we should try it like this to alleviate the stress on Rob on the website, on Chris, our poor web dev, who it's usually always his fault and he ends up having a worse time than anybody.
Yeah. I wasn't going to name him. I was just going to say our web guys. Mm-hmm. But Clarky feels the need to personally get in there and give him a boot. Well,
I did the introduction, so it's partly my responsibility. Chris.
But yeah, so we put the interest list on there, thinking, okay, nothing can possibly go wrong. Okay, because nothing's live. There's no time thing on it. No one's going to lose out or win because we're just gathering the information, and then we can do it at our leisure, and then people can do the end part of the process at their leisure, and there's no stress. This sounds like a great idea. Based on previous ones, this was going to be a walk in the park. Yeah? However, a few weeks ago, to up the security on the website, they'd introduced the two-factor authentication. So I realised it was on my end when I try and log in. Didn't necessarily realise it was on the client account end. And basically, the wheels came off with the 2FA.
Massively.
So that created a load of problems. Now, to be fair, it didn't create a load of problems because it just was annoying, and it was annoying for everybody out there who was trying to get on the interest list. But it wasn't a big problem because everybody got on the interest list up until the point we closed it, and that even ran longer than we were initially thinking.
But we did that because for the first almost 24 hours, maybe 18 hours, the list was there. People couldn't log on, and then we gave them a fix, which was, don't log on, you can just go on the wait list. But unfortunately, people misunderstood what I was putting out there, and they were resetting the browsers and still trying to log in to go on the wait list.
But I think, funnily enough, one of the guys had got on there, and he'd the whole point of the 2FA thing is to stop like cyber attacks. Our governments like to call it the Russians. I don't know who it is.
Nazis.
But the 2FA is to stop that kind of attack where you get bombarded with emails, but somebody wasn't getting the code, and they was resend. They just kept pressing resend.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, was it 20 or 30 times?
20 odd times. And this one person.
And then because of that, the infrastructure of the site, I'm not going to call it AI because I hate that.
I don't think it is.
Nothing is AI. Everything is just, it's created by man or God, if you're religious.
Anyway.
So somebody was like, bang, 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 banging him in. And then at that point, the system's like, we're under attack.
Yeah, so Chris said when you look at the log.
So there was one, I think.
One person literally locked the entire website down for everybody because of the rapidity, is that a word? But the speed in which they requested the code. And then because it was limited to begin with, and then because that person hit it so many times, yeah, the website security went, oh, no, this is not good. We're under attack.
So I didn't even realise you were trying to sign in. So, yeah, anyway, so that was a nightmare. That's been removed.
It's been removed for the customer. It's still in place for us at the back end to make sure there's no tampering on the site.
But...
So wait, let me read. Let me read you a quote.
Have you checked if that customer was actually Russian?
Dude, don't buy into the conspiracy theories, mate. Don't believe them. In fact, if they tell you something, you need to be looking for evidence that it's not that.
Oh, but I could find the actual answer on YouTube, couldn't I?
Probably.
Maybe the first person to look at as well.
So there was a huge amount of comments. I mean, from my point of view, I'd come back from a nice week away.
Put them on the screen now with like one of the pop noise every time one lands on the screen.
Probably not. Yeah, I come back from a nice week away, and the first I should have known it was going to be a stress when, as soon as the videos go live, I put them on my telly because every TV looks different. Rob, please stop it. That'll be making a noise. And I was looking at the thumbnail and I was like, oh, I've spelt edition wrong. I'd spelt signature edition, signature addition. And I was like running upstairs, took the video down quickly, changed the thumbnail, re-uploaded it because once it gets shared, even though I change it, it'll still have the wrong thumbnail on it. So then that was my stress. And then all of a sudden, within 10 minutes of people watching the video, the messages started to come through. And one of my favourites was, why is it becoming a lottery trying to order RS stuff? You've been around for a while now, guys. You should have this all lined out. Give your heads a wobble. Which I can't really disagree with.
Yeah.
You know, the sentiment is there. And then the rest of them were just people going, I can't log in, I can't log in, I can't log in. And everyone like, me too, me too, me too.
Like he was messaging me with all the issues. And I'm in the cinema watching Deadpool Wolverine because I promised to take Harry. And then it ended up being the Friday night. It was moved. It shouldn't have been the Friday night because I took him to the cinema and they wouldn't let him in because he had no ID. So we ended up back on the Friday night. And then obviously then all this was happening. I'm like, God, I'm pretty limited what I can do. So I was that guy in the cinema on my phone.
And to be fair,
Sorry, everyone else. Not sorry.
I threw Chris under the bus before, but he was straight away. He was on it when I messaged him, and I was like, "What is going on? Why is this happening?" And it did take them, took them until about midday the next day to work out a fix.
So I'm pretty sure all that is now moving forward. That is done.
Yeah, if we were to do this again, because
are we going to do it again?
But the thing is, the two-factor authentication was what balls this one up for the customers. And if that's removed for the customer, then it should run smoothly. The comments about people in favour and against the lottery system, I'm not going to say it was even, but there was definitely people for and against it.
Yeah.
The against it were people who, like, they say they want the scramble of the excitement of sitting there and logging on and the thrill of the chase. And the people who are for it were saying, well, someone might be on a shift, different time zones, people might be changing a nappy or looking after a sick loved one. I mean, changing nappies and looking after sick loved ones, there's a limited edition helmet out there, I know my priorities where they would be. But I do understand it, and I don't think unfortunately, I don't think there's a perfect solution.
There was a guy that agreed with the lottery because he lived in Australia.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I imagine you'll get people who've gone in for the draw who've probably said they don't like it on the website, on Facebook or Instagram. But if they win it, it's generally only a problem for people who don't win it. And that's unfortunately the luck of the draw with anything, isn't it? With any entry, with any competition, with any pre-order, there's going to be people who get what they want, and there's going to be people who miss out. The people who miss out are going to be the ones who are annoyed at the way we've done it.
But thanks for your patience.
But I mean, we're not like we're not a factory. We're set up like a 40-year-old studio to make movie props in the style of 40 years ago. It's not injection molded, 3D printed, and everything's made by hand, and it all, unfortunately, takes time. And time is what was it?
What was your saying?
What was my saying?
Time is the enemy of the prop builder.
Time is the enemy of the prop builder, and that is so true on so many levels. Deadlines and just taking you off other projects because you've only got so many hours in a day.
Let me just jump in next to my deadline. So I can't find the comment, and I don't know if it was on a post on somebody else's forum or group, but I can't find it, so I'm paraphrasing it. But when we did the video talking about the pre-order for Laurie Goode, one of the first comments I saw was about doing a pre-order, taking money, and taking longer than promised to deliver.
Yeah.
So how true is that?
Well, makes me have a little smile on this particular one, because on this one, it's not true. On the ATATs, it's been becoming true, because that's taking longer than we initially thought it would do. However, everything's moving along, and it is all time. But yeah, I think it's fair criticism. It does take a long time, and it's hard to estimate how long it's going to take, because you've got different people and different things going on in their lives, and you estimate, we can achieve this, and then something happens that is totally unforeseen. So that does knock you back. In a perfect world, one of the things that took way longer than it should have done, and in hindsight, probably was a ridiculous idea, was that partisan helmet. Because who in the right mind would build 100 Boy Scout helmets? If anyone out there has built one, you'll know what's involved, and that was crazy. But that's over with now. That's done, and the guys and the team are moving on, and we are doing very well. There will be updates next week. There was going to be updates. I think
the set is a fairly good indication of how well this project is already moving on.
Oh, the proof is in. I'm not worried about these, because these are in hand. Where we need to get to is, I'm not even worried about Bausch. I don't know why I'm looking over my shoulder. Well, I do know, because they're all there. I can see them from here. I'm not even worried about that, because that is well in hand, and that's going to resolve itself. So now my main focus is the ATAT, and we will be talking much more about probably Bausch next week, which was going to be this week, but then the website melted down while I was at Deadpool, so here we are talking about it.
Yeah, because from the point of view of someone who's constantly looking at the socials
and that lottery system.
Yeah, but this is what I think it's. There's times where we've said in the past, right? Let's talk about whatever we're doing at the time, and other things get in the way, and then people are asking for an update on it. So for this one, especially because of us having the website fall over in a different way this time, it was important to get on and address it and let people kind of see by all these helmets behind us and talk about it. Where this one is moving on, and for people to understand that everything else isn't stopping for it. You know, we talked about it in the video. This is classic, back to the days of just you and Si, where you build them and he paints them. You know, we've had a conversation while I was setting up this morning. You were over there just building these helmets. Just, you know, it's you can almost do these with your eyes closed.
Oh, I think I can do them with my eyes closed.
That'll be a video,
which is good because the eyesight's failing. Do you think we should do it?
We should blindfold you.
You want to do it?
Get everything laid out. Yes.
Oh, and see what it looks like.
Yeah. Hold on. What are the chances of you becoming seriously injured? If it's low, we need to increase the chances.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
It's all done by feeling touch anyway, really.
Okay. There's a video for the next few weeks.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Do I have to do the ears as well?
Yeah, I think you have to do everything.
I can't. I can put them on. I can probably put them on blindfolded. I can't trim them out.
But you're gonna have to drill holes anyway. So surely Dremel in it.
Right, I'll trim everything out.
No, you've got to trim it blindfolded. That's the difficult part.
You can't feel the pencil lines on
that'd be ridiculous. We'll try both. We'll try both.
Are you excited about
this? That's a big claim, that, isn't it? Oh, I can build it blindfolded, yeah.
So something I meant to talk about earlier, there was a lot of stressed comments, and I understand it from the point of view of, I say this a lot when we're doing videos, but I'm not a prop maker. I don't build things. I just like to look at finished shiny things or finished dirty things in the case of weathered. So it's nice to see a positive comment out of it. And someone's comment was, I love my 10th anniversary helmet, so I'll be sitting this one out. Amazing to see the price is still the same 5 years later. Well done, guys. And I just think that's nice that someone realises that when these things are going on.
Put it on screen. There's a little... You have to cut it out and drop it on. I see it in YouTube videos all the time. They look proper good.
Yeah, because other people spend a long time doing them. They don't shoot it in the morning, having to get it out for this afternoon and upload with the worst internet in the world.
I'm sure they do. All of them. Every single one of them. Yeah. No, mate, makes a valid point. And
your microphone closer, Rob.
So the problems with supply and demand, could we make more? Yes, but I'm not sure.
You haven't actually talked about what you're talking about here. You've linked on to something we haven't touched on.
No, the run size, and I think that is connected with what you just said about keeping the price the same.
Oh, okay,
from
my apologies.
5 years ago.
Continue.
We're not. The price has not moved, but I think when you've got more demand than we can supply, do we up the run size? Don't really want to do that for a number of reasons, because we're not a factory. That's the point, isn't it? We're a studio making props, and we're not geared up. We're not a manufacturing plant. We're not geared up to make multiples and multiples and multiples. That's why the run sizes are now looking small in comparison to demand, but 15 years ago were huge. It was a huge run size, and it wouldn't sell out straight away, and we didn't have the problems that we're getting. I mean, the good problems to have. I'm not complaining. We need the support to continue doing this, because especially as the size of the team's grown, and the overheads and all of that kind of stuff is all part of it. So maybe there is a little bit of room to grow the edition size, but not on everything. We couldn't have done more Bausch helmets, or it's becoming 2.5, 3 year project. We're trying to move away from that in a big style by having everybody working on certain things when they need to. So, yeah. So what are the other options? If we're not going to increase the run size, do we increase the price on it to put people off? I don't really want to do that. Do we want to run a lottery system? No, I want everybody who wants one to have one. That was always the ethos of RS, because before this, if you wanted something, you had to know a guy who knew a guy. You had to say the right things, get a little handshake behind the skip behind a nightclub or something, whatever it is. Might not have been a hand, but there was a lot of cronyism involved in it, and I never liked that because I wasn't connected. I couldn't get into any of that stuff. So when we were making something, I was like, no, yeah, do you want it? Yeah, I would like to help you out. So that element's still there. Don't want to price it out. Can't make big runs. So that's why the kind of the raffle system was becoming more and more something we needed to look at.
Yeah, there was a comment, I didn't actually save it, but there was a comment that said maybe if enough of us say we don't like the raffle system, maybe RS will go back the other way. But I think ultimately this comes down to what works for the studio and for you guys. Because if it doesn't work for the studio and you guys, there'll be no helmets getting made anyway. Mm. So if it can't be done,
that's I suppose that's the bottom line, isn't it? It's all the support from everybody who's out there who's listening to this that makes it happen. With symbiotic, they call it.
Yeah, the snake that eats its own tail.
What?
The symbol of symbiotic is a snake that eats its own tail.
Have you got a tattoo of that? Probably
covered it up somewhere.
It's round there. It's round. You told me that. So
look at him, he's trying to think of something he couldn't.
So it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but I don't want to put the price up. I don't necessarily want to put the edition size up because we're not a factory, and I don't want to let people down. So there you go. How do you make all of that fit into where we're at and work seamlessly and everybody be happy? That is today's conundrum.
What was the I've got let them eat cake in my head, but that's not the saying I'm thinking of. What's the saying about pleasing people? Send Paul's mum round. No. What is it? Can't please all the people
all the time.
Oh yeah, that's
please
it.
Some of the people some of the time.
Yeah, and that's this, isn't it? Like again, like I said before, the people who don't like the lottery system, if they get the helmet for that, I'm sure they'll like the lottery system. We've seen it. The last several helmet runs, it's been insane. Like we've been caught off guard in every element of ways we didn't predict.
This one less so than previous ones.
Yeah.
So a lot of the elements that we wanted to achieve with this run have worked. So there we go.
Is that a hint for the future?
I don't know. I mean, we're always listening. We're always trying to improve. We're always trying to make things nice, easy, simple. But I mean, somebody else commented saying, "Oh, I love the thrill of the chase. I love the," and I can see that because it is quite exciting. But it's also stressful and tinged with disappointment.
It would be nice in an ideal world for us, from a selfish point of view. It would be nice to know that the video goes live at launch and we don't have to worry about it till the Monday morning. that's never happened, has it?
No.
There's always been some kind of fire to fight. And I was walking around the garden last Sunday cooking for the family outside and was talking to Chris about what we were going to change going forward.
Yeah, well, we are certainly listening, open to ideas. That is the conundrum. How do we circle that square? But this run is up and running. It's running along smoothly. We will be updating on the ATA. This is me wrapping up, by the way, because my belly is really rumbling.
I know, I can hear it, and I haven't even got my headphones on.
That's the fasting. So we're looking. This run is going away, running along nicely. the Bausch helmet run is running along nicely. There will be updates on that. Might even be a bit of B-roll here of something that you might see next week.
No.
Where he's clearly shaking his head, but we're going to do it. It's like a few seconds. And obviously then we will be all over the ATA helmet in the coming weeks because we have got a lot of interesting stuff to show on that. So, yeah, do I like seeing comments about people saying, oh, I've been waiting ages for stuff? No. Is there something we can do about it? Yes. Pull our finger out. And am I worried about it? Not too much because I know we've got a lot to show that we haven't shown up to this point.
Just to make what you said, pull your finger out. That implies that there's people sat around doing nothing. That is definitely never the case in here. I know this from trying to find time to film with you guys, that there's finding those times. As always, even this morning when we went to film this, Paul was doing something, working on moulds and stuff.
Well, some people around here, I think, have had a power pill because they are on it. That's all I'm going to say.
Some people.
It's not me. I'm knackered. I could do with one.
I need a little something. What time are we on now?
Nearly lunchtime.
Look at the time.
9:40.
You've got to edit this video and it's got to be up on the World Wide Web by this evening.
I'm regretting getting up at 4 a.m. and driving over here early.
The tube of Ubes. Okay then, so I think we covered everything. Comment below, get involved. We are always listening. See where we go from here. I mean, it's like a community. I feel like some sort of like community centre anyway. So, I mean, just get involved. Let's see what we can do.
So much like your mum.
Comment below. I am accommodating. That's it. That's my middle name.
Encapsulating.
So yeah, that's where we're at. Come back next week for your usual Friday Phil, where we will be definitely talking about the Bausch helmet.
Who's Phil?
Mates with your mate Jim.
Go on. I've woke up now.
I think he's somebody's power pill dealer. So yeah, come back next week where we definitely will be talking about the Bausch. Big update on that, and I don't know if we may touch on ATATs, but if not, that'll be the week after, and we'll really get stuck into them. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you.
And I love you too.
Love you more.
Love you more.
Love you more.
Oh.